Reggie Bush getting his Heisman Trophy back.
Right.
1,700 rushing his Heisman year.
1,700 had a bunch receiving.
Average
too.
about 8 yards a play. He had about 50 catches for 200, 350 yards or so.
Yeah, and he had well over 2,000, and then he had to return on top.
Yep. So, what's the take on what? I can tell you my opinion on it from the day it happened.
Well, they took it from him because he supposedly received some funds, right?
Well, his mother got a house. I mean, all this stuff is public knowledge now. His mom wound up getting a house closer to the stadium there at SC to watch her son play. And supposedly in those times, the story was then, because I followed it, they were making some T-shirts there. Somebody around the area had a screen printing machine, and they made shirts, USC, Reggie Bush, whatever, and they sold them and made some money and give it to him. Okay.
Which is against the rules, but should that take his Heisman Trophy?
No. Why? Yeah. What does that got to do with?
Well, he did still do the stuff he did on the field.
They forfeited the games. I mean, they're not recognized in the book, be champs. And now Auburn, is some of their fans are coming out saying, well, if they're not, hey, come on.
Well, no, Oklahoma played for it.
Right.
And Auburn would have a case there, but
I don't think they'd have won the game, but I would like to see the game.
I would have too. I think Auburn was better than Oklahoma. I don't know that they were better than
I don't think so.
USC, but of course Texas beat USC the next year. That was
Vince Young was a close runner up behind. Yes. Reggie had like 1,700 points in that Heisman vote, and Vince had like 1,100. It was kind of close, sort of. Then, of course, Liner was one, and then the boy from Notre Dame, the quarterback out there,
Quinn.
Yeah. He was the fourth place.
So Young was second. I always wondered why Young didn't win it. I guess that's it, because of Bush.
Yeah, fairly close second place.
I think I read somewhere where Bush had close to 2,500 all purpose.
All purpose, yeah, that's about right. 2,400. So
his last year.
Are you PO'd about this? This is ridiculous. He broke the rules. Why does he get his trophy? Are you in that camp? Or?
Well, I'm not saying that there shouldn't be some type of punishment, but taking his Heisman Trophy from him, I don't really agree with that. I don't know how you can take an accolade from somebody.
Yeah, I never understood he did what he did live on the field.
Yeah. And, if they proved that, hey, this guy was juicing big time and taking supplements to make him better, maybe then, but no, not for taking cash.
And it's like, here's the thing. If you're, ticketed for speeding and then 5 years later they change the speed limit in that area, well, can you go back to the judge 5 years later and say, well, I was doing, 60 there, and the speed limit is 60 there now. At the time, it was 45. Can we get this ticket taken off?
Right.
Probably not.
Yeah, yeah.
But with the climate and the temperature and the things that are going on now, I think they did the right thing. It's been 19, 20 years since this happened. So,
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it. I think it's the right thing to do. And you made a great point. I know Green Bay had a former great that got into a lot of trouble for some terrible crimes, and he was their all-time interception leader, and they took his statue down. But guys, he's still their all-time interception leader.
Yeah. They don't take that away. I to rewind, I guess, when it happened through that first month or two, I just never thought nothing about it. When it happened, did you feel like, well, gosh, this is kind of, or did you feel like, no, this is the right thing to do?
No, I never did.
I never did either.
I never did care for it. I mean, well, because he's not the only one. I mean, Eric Dickerson told stories.
Oh, a lot of stories.
Which he didn't win the Heisman, but a lot of them did. And, I've heard stories that Bo Jackson never went to class, and people don't want to hear this, but breaking academic rules is just as punishable as money.
Sure.
Type rules. And, I've heard that about Kentucky players. They never went to class. They just went on pro. I don't know if any of that's true, but, about getting cars and houses. And so
you hear stories, kids shooting dice in class, getting in trouble. And
I'm sure he did it.
Coach makes them run. They don't get in trouble with the school.
But, Cam, They supposedly got $200,000 to play for Auburn.
Now he's denied that again on a Club Shay Shay Shannon Sharp's podcast. And also I'll bring this up and we'll move to the next topic. Really to kind of close the door on this. Well, okay. Well, why did all this just come about? Okay. Where did this, why now? What brought this up?
Yeah. I'm wondering that too.
Reggie's getting his groove back. Well, why right now? Well, one, I think first of all, a lot of people have been questioning it for a long time, and the conversations need to happen. I think that because of the temperature and the waters that we're in now with NILs, I think that has something to do with it. I think the first part though is one thing is, speaking of Shannon Sharp's podcast, Johnny Manziel went on his podcast and Sharp had asked him about Heisman and that type of stuff and him, what he went through. And Johnny just admitted all of it. He poured his guts out and said, I was drunk and I partied and I was a real turd and I apologized to Coach Sumlin and my teammates. I was just in a bad place. But I'm not going back to, I will not, they invite him to come all the time. So you don't never see him on Heisman House or, he said, I'm not doing none of that stuff.
No, he's not in any of those commercials.
No, and that's why they said they did give Reggie a trophy.
Yeah.
This is ridiculous. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Of all the stuff that I done.
Yeah.
He admitted like, hey, hello. I was
he actually hurt the team.
Yeah. I was a turd. And he said, Reggie is actually, he said, I've met him a couple of times. He's a great guy, good family guy. You never hear nothing about him. Went to the pros, played for a while, had a good life, tied it with Kardashians for a little while. But other than that, when have you ever heard about Reggie Bush being pulled over by the law and getting in trouble? Never.
Well, like the 3 years he was the starter, 2 years, whatever, they were like 23-1. I think Manziel was 17-9. If we're going to go by records, which I know Manziel can't play defense.
Right.
But like you said, he was a wild man and Bush was not. But nobody would ever, like if Manziel had gotten in trouble for having drugs and alcohol and kicked off the team, they wouldn't have took his Heisman.
No. And then the next part to that is, which I may be wrong on this. Now, these are just my speculations, and I've heard 2 or 3 other people talk about that. And we just think, and I've heard another person say this, that they wanted to get a little egg off their face after OJ passing away and the committee kind of giving their condolences, and like he felt a little like he's accused of murder, double murder, and pretty much admitted that he done it.
Yeah. I don't think there was never another suspect. Now we don't want to get into that, but I'm sure people.
So
there's not many people that don't think he didn't do it.
The Manziel stuff, NIL stuff going on now, then the OJ thing, and maybe the committee. Josh Pate quote him. Late Kick Show. Let me cling some egg off our face right now. Let's give this trophy to Reggie and get away from this OJ thing.
Well, I got a question for you. Now, would they have took OJ's trophy had he been convicted?
See, that's what I'm saying.
They might have, but that could probably be justified.
Yeah, you're taking life. Reggie took some money.
Yeah.
His mama got a house.
But we don't know that they would have. I don't know. OJ did go to prison after that. He got a 33-year sentence and did 9.
There's a lot.
He didn't lose it.
If we want to start digging into, you don't want to get in that closet. You want to go back to some like Cannonball wanted at LSU 77.
Yeah, Billy Cannon.
Okay, there's a lot of party stories and roughing women and.
Oh, he's a wild man, wasn't he?
So I'm just saying, let's not. I just don't think you're probably going to like what you find out.
Right.
But now I heard this as an example too, and we'll go this next part that Jeff brought up. There's and I don't want to hang around on this. There's a hearing for a ex-presidential person. I'm not going to try by name because I don't want it to be tagged in the video. But everybody knows what I'm talking about. And they're trying to pin stuff that maybe that had some goings-ons that had happened, but had happened not really on his time. So are we going to punish FDR for having a Japanese commie camp? Remember when he locked all the...
Oh, yeah. Kind of bad.
Very bad. People, if you don't know,
I mean, those people wasn't involved in that. They had internment
why
camps.
am I being put in camps? You're Japanese. Get in the cage and shut up.
Yeah.
We can't trust none of you.
We don't live over there. We don't.
No. And if you don't know what we're talking about, it's during World War II, FDR had these camps. And your other great Kennedy also with, was going to do the Operation Mongoose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, history people, just type that in when you're off the show. And I'm saying there's a lot of stuff. And an ex-president, Obama, had a drone strike, wound up a civilian, I mean,
yeah.
If we want to start digging back into Heisman people, that's the point I'm making.
Yeah.
I don't know if you probably lose a lot of Heismans. And Reggie, of all of that, my final thing, of all of that,
mm-hmm.
the horrific things done, what's Reggie really done?
Yeah. Yeah, I never did recognize it. I mean, I understood that, hey, he got in some trouble for some things he did, but I never did. Like if somebody asked me who won the Heisman Trophy in 05, I'd been like, or 04, 5, whatever.
Yeah.
Reggie Bush. I didn't go, well, Reggie won. No, he didn't. Nobody won it.
But there's an asterisk.
No.
I watched him play closely his whole college career, and White that played behind him.
Lindell, yeah, he had a good game.
Wow.
He was good. Well, he did run them both, didn't he?
Bro, that USC bunch was just – Pete Carroll they was on one of those.
Well, they should have won. I mean, they went for it on 4th down, and Texas stopped them, and then Young took over, but they still just won by 2. But if they got that 4th down, which I didn't blame Carroll for going for it,
no,
they would have won.
Well, and that's what led up – and people – we've done polls here, and we've done – during the summer, we usually do that sometime. We'll do one, I'm sure, this summer. Greatest bowl games. And that one always comes up one.
Oh,
because of the story of how Reggie Bush built this story into being such a great athlete that he was, and they get beat. Goliath, the USC monster that had been built on the West Coast that Pete Carroll had built, finally took a lick. And this tall, strapping young black guy that just went out there and come from Texas, real humble, real quiet, and he beats them. Mm-hmm. That's why it's the greatest bowl game ever.
Yeah, boy, he was good.
It's the story, man. It's the story behind it and the build up to it. So Reggie Bush getting it back, I don't have a problem with it. I don't know why they ever took it anyway.
I'm a stat geek, but like USC had nearly 600 yards in that game. That was against the number 2 team in the country. We talk about great offenses, and me and Matt always say LSU and to Alabama when Mac Jones and them play. What about that bunch?
I know. 600
yards in the national championship game?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah. And either one of those teams that year could have been, the 1 or 2 could have been reversed.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because, they were dead even. Yeah. They really were.
Yeah.
Because before Young did that, it was 38-33 before he ran the touchdown there, 38-34.
There's a 30 for 30 about him, about Vince Young, that if you have not seen it, please go see it. It's a build up to that game and that bowl and what happens the end of the season before of them losing and then coming back the next year on a driven purpose. And Coach Mac Brown and Dipisco out there on the sidelines, boy, he's getting them fired up. He got done very dirty out there.
Well, I knew that joker was good because I go up Manning's and watch Nebraska, and they were playing Texas one day, and they was like, here comes freshman quarterback Vince Young in. He played the first or second game. Dude, he was electric. And I'm like, who is this kid? He could run the ball. Wouldn't you say he wasn't the first great running quarterback, but he's one of the greatest running quarterbacks in college football history.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's on your list if you watched college football in that time. So
him and Manziel.
Talking about other great quarterbacks, Terrell Pryor.
Ohio State.
Jeff brought this question up. I'm glad he did since we're on this topic. Now they had to forfeit that year. Old sweater vest.
Yeah.
Trussell.
Yeah.
What do you think about that now that this happened with Reggie? What do you say? I mean, you
was
remember
that 2002?
I don't. Jeff, please tell us. I don't. It was.
Or they won it in 2 and 14.
Of 2012.
I remember Pryor. Pryor was very good. They had Pryor and Braxton Miller and Cordell Jones, and they've had a bunch. But so they took some games away from that team.
Well, they put on probation that year. So, you remember why though they had to forfeit that season?
No.
Terrell Pryor and them got tattoos for free. Well, they're going to forfeit all the games now. You're done.
I do remember that.
Remember that?
Yes.
They won the Big Ten necklace. That you got a little.
They
pendant,
won the Big Ten,
and he gave the tattoo artist the pendant to get tattooed. And they had to. What are we doing?
Yeah, that's a little crazy.
Does that make any sense?
I
at
do
all?
remember that.
Does that make any sense at all? That makes no sense at all. What year was that, Jeff?
He's probably right. 12, he say 11, 12. I thought Pryor was fantastic, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the tattoos. But yeah, I forgot about that.
So now that this has been kicked around, now I mean, there's people up at they're talking about this.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I don't know if it's going to come out in the mainstream news because it may not catch a lot of traction, but here's the thing, man. We're not talking about replacing USC's because they had to forfeit the games that year.
Yeah.
Okay. But Reggie got his Heisman back.
Right.
We're not talking about just giving a player an award that he earned on the field. You would be considering to put championships back on the books and pretty much lost your coach because of how all that started.
Right.
He lost control of the team. Prior he Coach Trussell was, had no control.
They were fantastic.
Yeah, I know. I mean, everybody that Ohio State run, they were always 3, 4, 5.
Well, it don't take much to get. I mean, it don't take much of the media. It don't take much to get a coach fired.
Not down, especially.
No.
And I kind of feel like I've always kind of felt like that incident was one of the first to kind of bring in how media affects the coach and them getting run off.
Yeah, and he had done great, and he got run off. And like you said, the narrative was he can't control the players no more.
They got tattooed. And I know Jeff hates furball, but, dude, he give them chicken fingers and a plate of macaroni and had a coach on the field. And they're on probation. There was a coach on the field during COVID. I'm not going to get –
Yeah, they broke some small group rules.
Who cares? It's ridiculous.
Which they can have the small groups, but they broke them. Like I can take 4 over there. You can't come over there. And apparently I brought you over there and me and you both.
Do you think this going to kick off is this going to kick over an ant bed to say that Ohio State's going to want to get some games put back? Well,
yeah, I think they probably could.
It'll get some talk. It's not going to happen. Alabama had to forfeit those games for the swimming team was selling books.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they had to forfeit games, football team, because the school got in trouble.
Can't make any money.
No. They got losing they had to forfeit football games. Saban had to forfeit games that year because the kids you're given a book. You go to the bookstore and the money's taken off your grant, off the computer when you go get your books. And if you sell them, which I did, it's the same thing, or I'd sell them back to online, but usually I'd sell them to a kid. Hey, you got to class next semester? Yeah, $100 for the book. Oh, yeah, great. Because it's a $300 biology book. I sell it to him for $100. So
right.
Alabama had forfeit games because of that. But now players can get paid. So do we start putting Bama's games back on the board?
Yeah. Well, you can't go back.
See
They probably won't do anything.
Right.
Because now they got to do it for everything.
Yeah. So
I mean, I remember back in the 80s, Auburn had a quarterback named Jeff Berger. Pretty good.
Yep.
He got in some trouble because he went on a hunting trip and one of the boosters paid for his plane ticket.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yeah, I remember.
And he may have had to sit out.
Yeah.
A bowl game. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he got in trouble.
Yes.
And they got fined and everything.
Yeah. What are we doing?
They paid for his plane ticket. Or they might have even been something as simple as they got his food.
Marcel Darius and one other player at Bama. I believe it was Julio. Because it was one of his last years, or Marcel's last years. Julio was coming in, or anyway, they went on a fishing trip in Mobile, invited by a booster, and the booster bought them all dinner, put them on the boat, took them all on a fishing trip, and give them money to get back home, have gas and food, and $300, $400, $500. I think it come up to be $700. Well, they were forced to give that money back to one of their own picked donations. So they give money to a church somewhere. See what I'm saying? What are we doing?
Well,
What are we doing?
Jeff Berger flying to Louisiana in 1987. How much you think that plane ticket was?
$20.
It couldn't have been too high.
What are we doing? Like Anthony Chambers, shout out AC over here at Cedar Bluff. He was at Auburn game, and Nick Fairley and another player were in the booth. We're at the diner at Auburn. They had won a game there. Don't remember who they played, and he's celebrating with his alumni, and that he's celebrating a win. And he tries to get the check of these two young men. Hamburger, milkshake. The bill was probably like $20 for both. Sorry, Mr. Chambers. I appreciate your incentive to, want to, just buy us a burger. We're just kids, college kids, just hanging out. If they find out about that, we'll probably have to set out a game. An alumni, not just even a ranked stranger, but a guy that cares about his school, that just wants to buy some kids a darn hamburger. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
The NCAA, we did this last week. They're a joke. So Reggie got his groove back. I'm fine with it.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with it. I can't see the debate against it.